Season's greetings, all you little cookie fiends. Welcome back to Erico Blueberry. It's an unassuming Destiny podcast. My name is Chillybin.
Oh shit, back from the dead. It's Meck.
Not literally. We were out for a few weeks, but it wasn't all that severe, I think.
Speak for yourself.
I mean, yeah, one of us got a disease that I thought you only get when you're a teenager.
A disease?
What is it then?
A virus.
Okay. An illness.
I got mono. I got kissing disease. What is it? The kissing sickness.
Yes. So yeah, that took you out and thus the show out for a couple of weeks there. I think I was a reason we missed 1 week. I don't know. We're here now, and it's look, we've got some stuff to catch up on with the story. We've got the Dawning. We've got Iron Banner happened in the meantime. Where to begin? Let's well, Iron Banner we can get out of the way. That's pretty quick. You
fueled by illness and spite and a 40-degree fever.
Went fucking mental in the banana.
Yeah. I played almost 12 hours of Iron Banner.
In one day?
That play session when I sent the gilding got sent to the Discord server and then I logged off, it said I'd been online for 12 hours. You know how on Discord you can hover over your name and it'll say in Destiny 2 then 4x hours? I looked and I forgot to screenshot it, but yeah, it was 12 hours. I
mean, Steam does that in the Steam overlay, but it'll give it to you in number of minutes, so it makes it seem even worse because it's a number that's obviously quite a lot larger. But I know on like expansion release days I've hit 12 to 16 hours by choice, so I'm not immune to that.
Yeah, I rung the doctor and I said, hi, my fever's 40 degrees.
And he said, get in the crucible, you little sweat lord.
He said, literal sweat lord. He said, don't go to sleep for a while until your fever's back down. And I said, okay, I'll play Iron Banner until my fever's back down.
And, like, did it come down?
Yeah.
Okay, so I wasn't sure if, like, Iron Banner in itself would make anything worse for you.
I was spite fucking some people in Iron Banner by the end of it. I was delusional from being sick and dehydrated, having a fever, and playing 12 hours of Iron Banner. I got angry towards the end.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've been in that place, but it both feels good and bad at the same time when you get there of like, oh, look at me, I'm progressing through the ranks and I'm getting all the rewards, but also I feel sorry for these people.
I had a moment where I got the sigil, the emblem, the banana.
The new emblem, the very good emblem with the wolf and the bananas on it.
And I was like, I could stop and just, I don't know, go downstairs and watch TV or something. But it's also 2 more resets and then I've gilded it again. So I just threw on all the Iron Banner gear and kept pushing.
Wow. See, I got off the train at Emblem Town. That was my goal for at least this first round of Iron Banner for the season. I was like, I want to get in, get the emblem, not worry about gilding or anything like that. I played enough and then I got the emblem. I was like, I'm actually done with this. I didn't feel like I even wanted to play more.
I think, what was the follow-up message? I don't want to see another fucking game of Iron Banner until June.
Yeah, until it's final shape time.
Because that's it. I'm done for the season. I've gilded it for the season.
Yeah, you're not going to have another opportunity. I also need to get my dredging done. I went in pretty hard on it. I think it was last week. It was bonus Gambit rank. So I put in a decent amount of time. Not like, not forcing the situation, but got some invasions, got some wins, etc. I think I'm over halfway there, but
hell yeah, I'll play the shit out of some Gambit. As long as it's not Iron Banner, I'll play it.
You know what? The crazy thing is, there's a lot of Destiny that isn't Iron Banner, so I think we should be able to figure that out. But yes, speaking of things that aren't Iron Banner, I should say. it's time for the dawning, or it has been rather for the last week and a bit. Space Grandma's back with a cookie oven. I don't think much, if anything, is different from last year. It's just, here's a quest to make some cookies. Go off, do it.
Yeah, I think there's a couple more new cookie types and that's it.
I don't even think there is. I think, because I that's one of the things I look for every time the event comes back around is like, have they just added a couple more cookies? But I don't think so.
Back on my bullshit, just force feeding Varric's cookies.
Please, Guardian, I cannot.
To hit the quota to get the triumph, I'm just like, here, Varric's, have some cookies.
Yes. So that's nice. It's not like some of the other ones where there's, you know, a separate playlist thing you have to go and do. You just kind of earn cookie ingredients as you're doing other shit. So it's kind of easy to just keep that ticking along.
Yeah, and that's it too. It's like you do a bunch of activities, you get the dawning spirit or whatever it is, and cookie ingredients. Shit out a bunch of cookies, go force feed them to someone.
Yeah, the only thing
the
only thing I feel like I have to force is killing things with snowballs for like one or two of the triumphs. I'm like, they're not fun and like they don't drop all the time.
Yeah,
and it's like, hey, kill 100 things with it, and like a direct hit will probably kill most things, but freeze things otherwise. And it's, I don't know. It's annoying that I have to do that many.
Yeah, I think that's one of the ones that's going to slow me down from getting Starbaker.
Yeah. But that's the kind of triumph where like I'll put on some videos and just I'm going to sit in the EDZ and just do snowballs. And maybe it takes an hour or two and I get through some videos I've been meaning to catch up on. And hey, it's the holidays, so like pretty good time.
Me looping strikes watching Dreams fucking I didn't touch them kids video.
I have not stayed up on any of that drama, but I keep hearing bits about it. I'm like, what is even happening? It's like a 2-hour
video of him he just disproves everything. I think honestly pretty well.
Okay.
Obviously this is YouTube drama, but I just threw that on and was just hitting things with snowballs while this man fought for his fucking life in a 2-hour video. It felt dystopian. Something dystopian about hitting things with snowballs in video games while a man is like, here's why I'm not a creep.
Yeah, arguing why you shouldn't come after me with the police so that I can keep making videos on the internet. What a weird world.
It's awfully dystopian.
Yeah. But anyway, back to this video game that we both play.
Throw on the H Bomber Guy video, 4 hours.
Fucking pick one of them. I'll put any of those on. Watch them again. Let's go. God. Roblox, oof. .mp3.
We are part of the dystopia.
I know. For someone out there, surely we are that at this point. Which I think I like. I think I like the idea of that more. That like those people feel like my people. Of like, I'm gonna sit here and like it's the concept of doom scrolling, but just for like putting a video on to wash yourself over with the white noise of someone else's opinions.
So I've got a couple, as you know, I won't say who on the pod, but I've got a couple of notable content creator friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I was joking around with them the other day, and one of them turned around and he said, the weirdest thing about being a content creator is one day you realize people are falling asleep or fucking to your voice. He's like, you'll hit that point where you'll have enough of an audience that someone has fucked or fallen asleep to your voice.
That's just statistics at a certain point. Like with a large enough audience, you just play the odds.
He's like, you know, cooking and cleaning, you're like, oh yeah, people throw on videos while they do that. And then you realize you're someone's like white noise.
Okay,
or like someone's thrown on a video with their partner and then gotten frisky. And I'm like, that's funny. That's a weird thought, but also hilarious.
No, so the part my brain immediately goes to is what in your mind would be the weirdest activity to be doing while watching or listening to this show?
Hacking up a body.
Okay, that's an immediately dark start.
I'm trying to think of things I do while I have a video on in the background. It's mostly cooking, cleaning, gaming, washing Sergey. Sometimes I'll throw a video on while I'm washing my dog because it takes a while.
Yeah.
Exercising.
Yeah, my point is I'm struggling to think of something weirder than the initial situation of falling asleep
Sleeping and smashing.
Yeah, sleeping and smashing to Erico Blueberry.
Or as Moist Critical likes to say, mashing pisses.
Oh, that's quite good.
I don't know. There's got to be a point somewhere in the timeline, this dark fucking timeline, where a content creator's been watching one of those true crime videos and heard the sentence, and he was hacking up the body while listening to and then like their podcast.
Yeah.
Or he was a huge fan of and then their podcast. Like somewhere in the timeline that's happened.
Yeah, again, play the statistics. I haven't watched every true crime documentary, so I can't exhaustively say that hasn't happened. But I've watched a few, and I could see it happening. It's very plausible.
If you bump uglies to this podcast, I've just got to ask what's wrong with you, because I find my voice repulsive.
Hey, stop spreading rumors, all right?
my giggle.
Everybody is somebody's kink. How about that?
Amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that for everyone.
Yeah. Let's try and steer this back to video games. So I don't know where this podcast is going otherwise. Let's talk about the story.
Yes.
Riven's been up to some business. We've got, 2 or 3 weeks of updates here that we need to catch up on. We've played them. We've seen them. We've talked like off air about it a little bit.
I like in the show notes, one of Riven's tricks got you for a second. Where you were like, wow, Shax is being really thirsty for Mara.
Yeah, because I was just live tweeting
never mind, it's Riven.
Yeah, I was just like live tweeting it into the Discord channel, like as it was happening. I was like, this is weird. I've never picked up on this before. Oh, wait.
I mean, Shax. Ooh.
Yes. But yeah, what was that? That was last week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just Riven. I think my understanding of the lore, there wasn't a lot background lore. Like there wasn't a huge lore dump the last couple of weeks until this week. And I think what had happened kind of from going back and rewatching and re-listening to everything, I think what had happened was Riven was convinced Mara had spread the eggs. So what you see is Riven start to ramp up her fucking with Crow and Mara.
Yeah.
And I think that was just her being a little bit, she's a spiteful creature. Like when you think about the core of the Ahamkara, they run off kind of like spiteful, petty actions, which is fucking with people's wishes. So to me, that felt more like that was just her fucking with Mara because she was convinced Mara had done this to her children. And like she started ramping up fucking with Crow a little bit last week as well.
Yeah, kind of pulling on the old heartstrings of...
Look what I made you do.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, like I fucked up your life, haha. Kind of. So to me, it just felt like Riven was convinced Mara or Aldrin or Petra one of them had spread the eggs, and she was convinced it was Mara, I think. And then those radio messages where she got up to her old tricks of like imitating people's voices and fucking with them a little bit. I think that was just her being petty.
Yeah.
Like that was just her entirely being petty, and I love it.
That makes sense to me. I also earlier today, I think it was there's a video from Evase. And this was like a bit of lore that I fully missed. It's not like current season shit. But it was a line in a conversation between Crow and Mara where Crow is expressing regret about having killed Cade and like uses the words "I wish," basically saying "I wish that had never happened," and then the response from Mara ends with "Oh brother mine."
Mm.
And when we're talking about Final Shape and Cade coming back, and I've been wondering how that happens, a wish would certainly do it. But that was
and
like
Ahamkara somewhere caught him.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that line came from like, you know, the War tab on some armor or something, or it might have been a ship from this season. It wasn't actually like part of the weekly drop.
Here's the thing, if that conversation went down over ghost or radio or hologram rather than in person, who can promise he was even talking to Mara?
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like the fact that the
Riven's
phrase
not strong enough to grant a wish. That's the thing.
Yeah, but
at the moment,
the fact that "Oh brother mine" was in there, and I don't know how long ago this bit of lore is set. That is starting to look like the pieces coming together for how Cade comes back to me. Of, you know, as soon as Riven was involved and we talk about Ahamkaras and wishes, I was like, that's got to be it, right? But this is kind of the most specific route towards Cade coming back that I think we've seen hinted at.
Well, not counting the clutch of, I think it's 8 eggs, we've already encountered 3 different Ahamkara, including Riven.
Yeah.
We've got Heffend in the dungeon.
From the dungeon, yep.
The Riven, the Ahamkara that we'll talk about in a bit with the lore, and then we've got Riven. But then who's to say that the clutch, even in an egg, can't hear and grant wishes either?
Yeah, or that one hasn't hatched somewhere, or like whatever. You know, like how many? There might still be more out there that are powerful enough to do this.
And just touching on that quickly as well, you know how a couple of weeks ago I was asking, can you domesticate an Ahamkara?
Mm.
Well, Naeem,
Yeah.
the warlock who struck up a deal with Heffend was domesticated in a way. Right. Their relationship was domesticated. The EDZ in that area thrived because Heffend was granting wishes without a kind of catch-22 to the wish. Mm. And a lot of the lore entries that I read up on and a lot of the passages about Naeem and Heffen's relationship was they used the word domesticated a couple of times. Probably lack of a better word in the end. Mm-hmm. But it makes me wonder the next generation of wish dragons, because we have them in clutch form and their mother is dead. And as we'll learn later, their sire is dead as well. We've got to hand raise them. So
yeah,
is the next generation of Ahamkara also going to be kind of domesticated?
Domesticated / weaponized? Like how far does this go?
Like guard dogs.
Yeah. Like
those Milanese guard dogs that you see on like social media that are like super trained.
Yeah.
And as we'll discuss in a bit with the lore, we've also discovered 2 Ahamkara now that don't thrive off of betrayal or deceit. They're granting these wishes without the catch. So is it in an Ahamkara's nature to like feed off that in between, or is it in Riven's nature to feed off that in between? Like, well, is it a social construct?
No, like when Riven's talked about Ahamkara, she's describing Ahamkara as feasting on the gap between desire and reality.
Yeah, but as we've learned, we've now encountered 2 Ahamkara through the lore who don't do that.
Mm.
Well, described as not doing that. There might be a separate catch.
Yeah.
Because as we've learned, the Ahamkara were introduced to 2 in this week's lore. Did something an Ahamkara shouldn't do.
Yes.
Also, my theory that the bones in the dungeon, or the Ahamkara in the dungeon, was the one that Shax killed. That was confirmed in a piece of lore recently as well.
Oh, right.
Heffend is the Ahamkara that Shax felled.
Right.
In one of the dungeons, one of the Riven's lairs that you run, there are voice lines from Shax that he killed 28 Ahamkara and the Heffend is the final Ahamkara. Like, he didn't want to do it.
Right.
Yeah, he super was not into killing the Ahamkara. He did not want to do it.
But it sounds like he was good at it.
Yeah, that was the catch-22. Was as a warlord, he was very good. But that whole lore piece is him regretting his involvement in the hunt.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we get to this week.
I've been nerding the fuck out on Ahamkara lore, if you can't tell. So this week I was squealing when the big reveal happened.
Well, the biggest of reveals. It turns out Ahamkara's fuck.
Ahamkara fuck.
We had eggs from Ahamkara, so like there were you could reasonably assume that means they get down, but they could also do that asexually.
Paracausal intersex.
Paracausal pop out some eggs. Don't ask too many questions.
A lot of fish and reptiles are intersex.
I thought you were going to say paracausal. I don't understand horses. They must be paracausal.
Sunfish. I don't know how those fuckers work.
Yes. So what do we get? We got some like Riven's lair stuff. It was a mission. Well, how much was there this week before you get to the exotic mission that we'll talk about? It was like basically just
Riven's
go talk.
lair?
It was basically just go talk to Riven, do a Riven's lair, and then straight in, right?
Pretty much. So there was a little bit of chitter chatter beforehand, which was basically Riven being like, Mara fucking did this, I know it. Bitch.
But then also kind of, but then going back on it and saying like, but why would she?
Yeah, like
at the same time,
whoever did this is a weirdo, and I'm like, yeah. And then you go into the Riven's lair after talking to her, and she's pissed. She's screaming. Like her voice lines, she delivers them. She's screaming.
She tells us there's sneak thieves in her lair. I love that phrase.
And she consumed them all. Love that. Just her yelling, consume them all.
It's very good.
So we do that, and then we go, oh, the egg. And then the egg is in a matrix, and you go, oh no, the egg.
Yeah, the Vex got up in there, it turns out.
And then the egg teleports, and you go, oh no, we lost the egg. And Riven's real mad. Yeah.
And then you go to the Black Garden again.
Crow's like, Ayo, I've been tracking this signal. Turns out it's the Soul Divisive. Uh-oh. And they've taken the egg to the Black Garden. And then he does a little joke, and I forget what it is because my brain turns off when he talks. We were doing the mission, and I was standing inside him giggling over his teeth, so you know how much respect I have for that man.
Yeah.
He basically does a little ha-ha, and then he's like, no, I know a way in there. And then Riven's like, I know a better way in there. And we go, excuse me? How do you know the way in? Like, excuse me? She's like, I've been there. And we're like, excuse me? Which I thought was big lore. I was like, oh, huh. Yeah. Riven's been in the Black Garden. Why?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I guess I didn't think too much about it at the time. I was like, yeah, I mean, Riven can basically do anything. Who cares?
So as you progress further into the Black Garden, you start to pick up these little pockets of paracausality. And it's sire and dam, which are breeding terms for male and female or mother and father.
Right, okay. Dam, I don't think I've heard in that context before. So
there's like sire's obligation and dam's protection. Or is it the other way around?
Dam's
something
blessing
like that.
Or some classic Destiny buff name.
When you get both of them at once, it changes to crowned by dragons, which I thought was really cool. Really interesting touch. The further you go in, the more you realize that Riven knows a little bit too much about the Black Garden. And then I think about halfway through the exotic mission, she goes, "Oh, this is an Ahamkara lair." And Crow goes, "Yours?" And she's like, "No, you've seen mine." So pretty much hinting that there's another Ahamkara
that just lives in the Black Garden.
In the Black Garden, who used it as a lair. What happens then? You do the mission.
Yep.
Riven keeps hinting.
I think you're like digging through the Black Garden trying to find like the Vex.
And Crow starts to hear whispers.
Yeah, and then there's like a giant Vex mind, and they're talking about like, well, there's no way they could simulate like paracausality or the power that an Ahamkara would wield.
Yes, because the second buff you pick up, Crow is like, that's not the same as the first buff. Have the Vex figured out how to replicate the paracausal energy. And Riven kind of goes, "Oh, that's from a different Ahamkara. I didn't leave that here. That's not mine. That's from a different Ahamkara." So they kind of drill home. They're like, "Uh-oh, what's in here?" Which had me hooked.
Yeah.
So I was really pissed when I was struggling to get through the mission because I was like, I just want to fucking, what is happening?
I want words, not enemies.
More doggos. Yeah. And then you get to the end of the mission and you come across Ahamkara bones.
A big old skeleton of one.
And Crow the entire time is like, hey, these whispers are getting louder and more intense. And Riven's like, it's not me. It's not me this time. Sorry. And then he gets possessed and he makes some gross noises. I don't like the noises he makes before he gets possessed.
I don't know if possessed is the right word because he actively consents to it in the moment. It's like the voice is asking to speak through me, and then he smashed the microphone. Then he just like lets it happen. Yeah.
And we learn it is a Ahamkara called Taranis. And he immediately uses Crow to flirt with Riven.
Yeah,
which I loved.
Very good stuff.
Riven's just like, what have you fucking done, dude? And
spent all the life savings at the track.
Sorry. I died. Sorry, I died.
I put it all on black.
I died. Sorry.
Also that. The mob came for my knees.
My kidneys.
Ah.
And then we get a very pretty cutscene. So we learn that Taranis is Riven's mate, and they met in the Dreaming City. And
where Ahamkara were just like walking around at the time.
Yeah, they're just vibing.
Yeah, they were just like cats.
Big kitties. And Taranis was different and caught Riven's attention because Taranis didn't twist wishes. And that seemed to be a huge thing about this Ahamkara that they kept kind of almost repeating in the lore and in the cutscene. And one thing that stuck out to me was the way that Riven described that Taranis cherished those who bargained with him.
Right.
So those who made wishes with him, she said he cherished them. So yeah, as I was discussing earlier, we've encountered another Ahamkara that didn't warp
or
wishes in a way like Riven does.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess like Riven could have like picked that up from him as well.
And she does mention that. Like she does kind of say that fascinated her about him. That there was another way Ahamkara could thrive and live, and it didn't involve deception. And it sounded like for a little bit when they started to mingle and he took her to the Black Garden, she considered it almost. But then she made a bargain with Mara. And she said something like Taranis also found the way that she did her bargains fascinating. And her bargain with the Queen fascinated. So what we learned then is they produce a clutch and then the Great Hunt starts. And that's kind of when we already knew this, but that's kind of when Mara and Riven struck a bargain, because Mara basically offered protection and Riven offered wishes.
Yeah.
That was basically their bargain. Was Riven was contained to the Dreaming City out of protection from the Great Hunt, and in return she would bargain with Mara, and then we know Mara had to develop the wish wall because she figured out that Riven was also twisting these wishes. But Riven also describes that in that entire time, she and Taranis could communicate with each other, even though he was hiding in the Black Garden, until Riven made her deal with the Taken King, and she became taken. And that's when she said she lost communication with Taranis.
Yeah,
they could no longer whisper back and forth, which I thought was huge.
Yeah. Guys, it was just...
It's really sad.
It's like it's a brutal story, but also the cutscene was very well done.
It's beautiful.
It's that classic like brush style art that they've done for a bunch of them, but like, yeah, there was some very cool effects in there. Like especially when the dreadnought came into view, and it was like kind of gave it more depth to the rest of the scene. Yeah, that kind of struck me a bit, but yeah, damn, whole bunch of Ahamkara, a whole bunch of eggs. Whole bunch of drama.
Yeah. And then we find out that when he lost communication with Riven and had figured out she'd become taken, and she quote unquote spoke with the voice of the king, which I just think is a fancy pants way of saying he figured out she'd been taken.
Yeah.
He wished to protect the eggs. So it was he who scattered the eggs. And we learn in that cutscene that Ahamkara cannot grant their own wishes.
Well, and this is something I think I picked up somewhere else as well. They can, but then they die.
They die. It comes at a great cost.
Well, the reason is obviously they feed on desire to reality, the difference between those two things. When the Ahamkara is the one making the wish, that distance is 0. And so they wither and die.
Yeah. So we learned that Taranis pretty much sacrificed himself to keep their clutch safe.
But I think also they say like to hide them until somebody who can protect them comes along.
That's us.
Yeah.
So we are granting his wish, basically. So we are dubbed Wish Keepers by Taranis. And we get a bow.
We get a bow called Wishkeeper.
But that was huge lore. I never considered how the clutch came about. I just thought, oh, it's fucking Destiny bullshit.
Yeah.
She was just like, I want babies.
Yeah.
So
well, because they've always spoken about Ahamkara with language of scarcity, right? Of there basically being none and never really...
Because they don't work together.
Yeah, but also never really hinting at any kind of like, you know, breeding model. It was always just like they just exist. They're a thing.
Yeah, and they're so intrinsic into like the paracausal nature of the Destiny universe. But they're also incredibly solitary creatures, and that's kind of what made the hunt such a success. And they say that a lot in the hunt lore, which was, you know, the working theory is Guardians wouldn't have had a chance if they were pack creatures.
Yeah.
But it was their solitary nature that was their undoing. So to find out that they do pair up and mate, and I'm guessing the nature of that courtship is probably dependent on the individual dragons.
Yeah.
Because some of them, we don't know if they mate and then they split off and they lay the eggs, and then maybe this was different.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's big for an Ahamkara nerd. I thought that was big. That was big lore. I was like, sick. It just adds another layer to them as like a part of the Destiny universe.
Yeah, they're not just
they
this.
can fall in love almost.
Yeah. Whereas I think like the image largely that we have been given is that they are, based around deception, kind of spiteful, maybe petty, not necessarily having much more than that. But now there's almost like, not humanity, but you know what I mean? Like there's just more to it. There's more to the character of an Ahamkara.
Yeah. And there was like warmth and affection between Taranis and Riven. I think this is the only time we've heard like affection and warmth in Riven's voice. And she was talking to Taranis.
Yeah.
Calling each other, oh, beloved mine.
Yes. Oh. Yeah.
My heart.
Which was an interesting phrase to hear, given that the O blank mine construct is often talked about as like a control mechanism, or like a way of hooking into like suggestion and getting people to do what you want, that Ahamkara have used. And like we've seen that through all the stuff with Riven and through the season.
Savathun.
Yeah, through Savathun as well. So it's interesting to see it used here in this more like intimate context, I guess. Yeah.
It's very nice. It's also got me curious because they draw both the Ahamkara like we see Riven now.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if that's Ahamkara, like we're just privy to Ahamkara base form?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we don't. For some really reason, know.
Riven... Or because it's being told through the lens of Riven, that's we're getting Riven's perception of the Ahamkara, which is her.
True. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll get some more in the weeks to come. But
it's got me curious because even then, like Heffened Skellington is different. So that got me curious too. If maybe just because it was being told through the lens of Riven, we saw Taranis like Riven.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go deal with this dog very quickly. Dog
time.
I'll be right back. So wishes kept. We are the Wish Keeper. Yet another title at the end of our honorific list.
We had to protect the babies.
Yes. I don't know. Does that mean we've now essentially got an Ahamkara farm? Can we take them to the farm on Earth?
Do you imagine how fucking big they'd get? How quick?
I mean, no one else is living down there. It'll be fine, right?
Oh, they're shapeshifters.
Yeah, they could just turn into humble farmers. They can till the land.
Do dogs?
Yes. Yes.
Give me an Ahamkara familiar Bungie, you cowards.
Oh my god. Or Farming Simulator spin-off, and it's just us trying to keep all these Ahamkara alive.
Oh, I would play the shit out of that.
Stardew,
I love farming.
Stardew Valley, but Wish Dragons.
I love Farming Simulator shit. So.
But the end of that mission, we also get the Wish Keeper. I keep going to say Wish Ender. That's such an annoying thing they've done. The Wish Keeper exotic bow, which looks like it's made out of Ahamkara bone, but also there's bits of Ahamkara bone magically spinning and levitating in it.
Yeah, so I don't know if the whole thing is made out of potentially Taranis's bone, or
I have to assume, right?
It's got fragments.
Yeah.
Well, I can't find your skull.
Yeah.
While you were listening to the cutscenes the other day, I was like running around East Skellington trying to figure out which bit was which. I was like, where's his skull?
It's probably just like broken down into the environment around it, but it is a kinetic slot strand bow that cares deeply about suspending things.
That's gonna be good for some of the hunter builds.
Well, let me tell you something Titans are pretty good at doing: suspending. I have not had a strand build ever since Lightfall came out. I now have one because this bow got me to go look at some things and play around with some ideas. So very quickly, I'm going to just find what this thing actually does. So yeah, it's got this thing called Snare Weaver. So if you get precision hits or final blows, it will fill up 1 in a meter, and it takes 6 to fill it. So a precision hit final blow will give you 2, which is kind of nice. But then once you've filled that, if you hip fire a shot, it will set a bunch of traps on the ground. Like, remember how we used to do like 6 points of anarchy traps? It's like that, but it pops out of 1 arrow when it like hits the ground and bursts out, and then just lays these suspend lines across the ground, and then anything that walks into it gets suspended, and it lasts for a while. It's pretty nasty. But then the thing I've paired it with is a Titan exotic from Lightfall called Abeyant Leap. So one of the strand aspects for Titans, I think it might, yeah, it's an aspect called Drenger's Lash. When you throw your Titan barricade up, it'll send out a little projectile out from the front of it, which will suspend whatever it hits. Abeyant Leap gives you 2 more of those, so you've got 3 of them going out, and it'll just spend a bunch of shit. The other thing I forgot to mention with this bow, it does heaps of damage to things that have been suspended.
Yeah.
It's neat. So yeah, I've basically just like put this build together that will suspend a bunch of shit, get a bunch of benefits out of things being suspended or killing things while they're suspended, and the loop is pretty nice of just get them up in the air. While they're in the air, I'm building that meter back up to do more traps with the bow. And then if I get in trouble, then yeah, the Abeyant Leap plus barricade plus suspend will kind of stop everything from hurting me, which is nice. It's pretty silly.
I was just looking at the Warlock strand exotic. See, Warlocks, we play more with threadlings and tangles.
Yeah, I think suspend is more of a Titan thing.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, I mean, there's got to be some aspects that would...
Yeah, like there's a bit of all 3 in each, but I think suspend is most strongly represented within Titans.
Yeah, because I haven't tested it with my strand build yet, because my strand build works a little bit like all my other builds, which is just to be annoying.
Yeah.
So you know how I can shit out old gods, and I can shit out arc souls now. And you just saw my build last night where I was just shitting out wells.
Yes.
I've created a build that just basically just spams threadlings, or as we call them, little freaks. And tangles. So I don't know if it's going to work with that build or if I'll have to rebuild something. But prior to the podcast, I was telling you about how I've been using Final Warning, which is the sidearm.
Strand sidearm, right?
Yeah. I might throw the bow on and fuck around and find out.
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily going to work for every person running strand. Like I said, it is very heavily concerned with suspend. So if suspend isn't something you're able to do a ton of, it's probably not worth the exotic slot.
I might swap out a bunch of my aspects and see, because like I said, all of my aspects are focused on. Yeah, all of my aspects are focused on threadlings.
Yeah. I also went back to strand, but didn't take the grappling hook thing. There's actually one of the strand grenades is like the spinning thing that will just suspend a ton of shit in a small area.
Yeah. As a warlock, I don't really use the grappling hook.
Yeah. I enjoy
everywhere.
I enjoy the shit out of it, but the grenade.
Oh, it's fun, yeah.
The other grenade, I forget the name of it, but the other grenade is actually like way more effective in this build.
Yeah. I'm just like, yeah, I've got the
that one. Yep.
Yeah.
You know the one I'm talking about.
They're a thing in real life that you can throw around people's feet, and I forgot the name of them. Yeah. I don't really use. I mean, it's fun, but when you're a warlock, you can just float everywhere. You don't really need to zip line everywhere.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with this build.
I want to see it in motion now.
Yeah. The first things I usually do when I am trying out a new build like this is I'll, figure out the mods and shit, and then I'll just like load into a lost sector that I can run really quickly. Because then it's like, okay, I can see what it's like when I come into a room full of enemies. I can get a couple of passes at it. So the one I do this the most with is the one under the church that Devrim K is in the EDZ. Because it's a nice little loop. I was literally about to
ask. Yeah.
It's a nice little loop. There's like, 2 rooms with enemies in it. You kind of just blow them all up.
I was gonna say either K1 or the EDZ.
Yeah, K1 wouldn't be bad actually. Do the little loop.
The one in the throne world out in the swamp area where you have to deep sight to go around to it is also really good because that's just one big room with a bunch of enemies.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's also really good if you want to test like spamming stuff.
Yeah, maybe you and me should run in there and I can show you what this thing do. But it's there's a little bit of work with the bow to like keep the meter filled and have one ready to go. And also, once that meter is filled, any hip fire shot will lay the trap down. So if you don't want to fire it off, you got to be aiming down the sights the whole time. And I haven't played bows much for a while, so that's just like a thing I have to get used to doing. Because my temptation is just like hip fire unless I'm trying to hit something far away, but I almost have to go the reverse of that.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I might throw together a new strand build tonight and see what I can do as well. If I can lean into suspend rather than threadlings, because threadlings are fun and they're really good for long distance ad clear because you can just plant a bunch of threadlings in the middle of a group of ads.
Yeah.
But I'll see what I could do otherwise. We got swarmers, but that's very heavily focused on threadlings, so.
Yeah. But
we'll report back to see if I can make another annoying build.
I think like the
spammy as fuck build.
I feel like the people like in the patrol zone and the EDZ that I loaded into got annoyed by me because I didn't leave things alive for very long. Like the Cabal drop pods are coming in and I'm just like putting a trap under it and then things are basically just dead.
They're trying to farm ingredients and you're just...
No, thank you. They're all mine. But yes, it's good. And then the Titan Strand Super is still... It still feels powerful, like I'm running around punching things and they're dying very quickly, so that's good. And I can suspend stuff with the super, so more fun for me. But yeah, with like, obviously with the changes to the throwing hammer for Solar Titans this season, I haven't stopped playing that build. It's just got me to experiment a bit more with other ideas. Like I'm running a Lorelei Splendor build a whole bunch at the moment just for like high survivability. Still running throwing hammers very heavily, but it's not like everything that build is designed to do. I was doing a bunch of void stuff for Iron Banner, so I got Graviton Lance out and was just slinging frisbees around corners and vortex grenades and making people blow up with that gun.
Some of the aspects have made Graviton Lance viable again.
Well, I think they also just buffed it generally.
Yeah, it's primarily what I use in my Old Gods build. Because it's that or Gnawing Hunger, depending on what we need to do. It procs Devour and it explodes enemies around it. When you've got that cycle going, you can shit out 5 Old Gods at the same time.
Well, that was actually the dungeon, Warlord's Ruin, got me to put together a new Void build built around Devour, because that exotic from it, I dropped it the first time we did it.
Yeah, you did.
And that gun gives you Devour. So I was like, well, I've never actually built a Titan Devour build. So I did that, and it's disgusting.
I want that gun so hard as someone who has a really feral, other than my Old Gods build, I have a really feral, high survivability Devour build. So I want that exotic so bad because I think that could send that Devour build off the fucking charts.
Yeah, the only like minor limitation to it is that it is a special ammo sidearm. So if you don't
Yeah.
have the right like ammo mods equipped, the ammo economy gets pretty gross.
Yeah.
But
I've got
it's good for
some
staying alive.
finishes that shit out
Yeah,
special and
yeah.
heavy when you do them.
There's mods that'll make that not a problem or less of a problem. But when I was just fucking around with it, I was like, oh yeah, I need to tweak some things here so that I don't run out of bullets for this gun that keeps me alive.
Yeah. I mean, the reason especially with my void build, I lean on my current gnawing hunger so hard is because it's got volatile rounds. So it just starts chaining void explosions.
Wait, I don't think that's actually
Volatile?
well. No, volatile is not a weapon perk. It's a like voids class.
Yeah. So
thing.
I've got the aspect that gives that
Yeah,
volatile, and because it's an auto rifle, you can just load into enemies' heads and start the chain going.
It was like what Season of Arrivals when Gnawing Hunger came out, and like the meta at that time was to get one with subsistence and rampage, because then you're just like once you get rampage ticked up, you're basically just destroying everything. So if you could pair one of those with volatile rounds, that's pretty gross.
I mean, mine is Zen and multi-clip,
That's
which
okay.
for ad clear is I mostly use it for ad clear. So that reduced recoil and then the chained damage from multiple kills. Once you get with the volatile rounds and my void build, you can start to really rack up really rapid back-to-back kills.
Yeah.
Especially with stuff like Hive that tend to bunch up in
true.
loss.
Yeah, or you get your Screebs in there. You get little scions and goblins and shit. Yeah, that'd be a good time.
When stuff bunches up, I'm like, yes, Gnawing Hunger time.
See, I'm like that with this suspend build at the moment, because I'll just like put a trap down. Oops, you're all in this big circle now. Like the trap is about the size of a like Warlock Rift. Like roughly about that size.
A doorway.
Yeah. The trick is the trap gets deployed based on wherever the arrow hits. So there's been a couple of times I've accidentally got it stuck on some weird geometry and it's just made this like really tall triangle. I'm like, well, that's not catching anybody.
A single Minotaur.
Yeah, just like because it hits and then they all just kind of spread out very quickly. So something in the physics of like moment of impact to determining where to place all those points in the game, it was like, I'm just going to freak out and dump them all right next to each other. I'm sorry. But, it's a new weapon. Maybe that's a bug. I don't know. But that's like one time out of probably 100 at this point that I've shot it. And it's been fun.
Then it's funny when it does it. Anyway.
Yeah. I keep trying to like...
doing?
Well, because when you shoot that one with the trap loaded up, it's almost like it's an underpowered shot. It has a much heavier arc to it. So you can't get it to go super long distance. But I keep trying to land it on someone because I don't think I've actually seen what happens if you get a direct hit with it. I've actually just been aiming at the ground to catch a bunch of stuff in an area. But I don't know if I get a direct hit what that's going to do.
We can fuck around with it in a lost sector.
That's the plan. And then who knows what I'll do with it from here. Because the other half of the build is like grab a tangle, make it explode, either throw it or shoot it, and that gives me woven mail. So like that's kind of the other thing I'm meant to be doing, is giving myself extra shields through woven mail.
I was going to say kickstarting a shield cycle.
Yeah. So there's things to do there of like I think it's either when I suspend or when I kill a suspended target, I drop an orb of power. And so I've got some mods about like I'll immediately start health regeneration when I pick one up and things like that. So yeah, just finding all those little loops that can be triggered off things that I'm doing anyway. That's my favorite part of building.
That's basically what I did for my new solar lock that I ran in the Starcross mission with you. I was like, huh. And then I realized you run solo quite often. And I was like, huh.
Yeah.
I could kickstart a lot of shit with orbs because one of the people I play with the most shits out orbs.
Yes.
So.
Yes, I do. There's one, I think it's like a class item mod that I had never used until this season, but it's basically whenever you use your class ability, any nearby orbs of power get pulled into you. and I just never used it before. But all of the builds I've
And
done
as a person,
this season, they're actually built around like using the class ability not for protection, but because deploying it does something else. Like with this Strand build, it sends out these things that suspend things. So I'm not using it because I need the barricade. I'm using it because I want to suspend shit, but then it's also just going to be pulling all those orbs in. So that's kind of fun. Extra little
zooming around.
Little vacuum.
I was going to say zooming around punching things too as a Titan. You're just going to be...
Yes. Orbs. Orbs. That's what I do. Orbs and
Millions
eggs.
of Orbeez. Orbeez for me.
Orbeez are a thing, right?
Yeah.
I've heard that name before.
They're those things that you put in water and they swell up, I think, from memory. That French guy filled his bathtub with them and then his entire sewer system exploded.
Yeah, it would. God.
That's one of my favorite series of what was Musically back then, was just his adventure of like destroying his entire town's sewage system.
Oh my God. What a nightmare. Hey, I think that might do it for this episode. Yeah. Right?
I mean, we were away for 3 weeks, but honestly, this week was the only major lore dump.
Yeah.
Big piece of lore.
Other than that, it was like, hey, the Dawning's here and Iron Banner.
Yeah, cookie time, gilding Iron Banner, getting the bananas.
Yeah, the doll sticker. Put that shit on a banana.
That was it. It's been a kind of quiet season so far, but I mean... back-to-back pretty lore-intensive, fast seasons. I'm not angry that this one is a slow burn.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like the season right before an expansion, delays aside, they usually have that like more of a ramp right before you go into the expansion. So yeah, the first few weeks will be a bit slow, but then it's like, okay, we're going to start calling back to things that we mentioned in those first few weeks, but tell you why they matter and add more shit to it so that it accelerates as you approach the expansion.
From memory, Season of the Splicer kind of was a bit like that too. Leading into Witch Queen, where it was like, go and do this stuff. Oh, the Vex. Misrax. We got a lot of Misrax and Ido backstory. And a lot of House of Light backstory, and then Aramis kind of was trickled in there a little bit. And then the last few weeks was like, get ganked Lakshmi, you idiot, and then oops, Sabathun time.
Yes.
Like it was a slow burn. And I am not, like I said before, if every third or fourth season is a slow burn, I'm not mad about it.
No.
Because you don't need emotional labor every fucking 3 months.
Yes, it's exhausting.
I'm still tired from the fucking nightmare season. I'm still tired from Zavala's wife.
The amount of times when I go into a Lost Sector and there's like the Lost Sector bosses are just the nightmare variants, I'm like, oh no, I wasn't ready for this.
Zavala's wife.
Yeah. Please stop telling me to be sad.
Zavala's wife, time lost.
Shout out to cursed destiny names everywhere. Anywhere? Anytime.
Everywhere.
But hey, it's the holidays. We'll be back, I don't know, next week after, who knows.
Happy
I'm not going
Kimmis?
Happy whatever.
Happy Hanukkah? Happy Kwanzaa? Happy Friendsmas if you don't have a Christmas but you hang out with the homies.
If you don't have a Chris in your life.
Oh no.
But yeah, just look, it's the middle of summer and I'm wearing this stupid Christmas jumper. I'm hot as shit in here right now. But 'tis the season. I don't get to wear this often, so I thought I would.
You should make cookies in real life for your friends.
Yeah. There are homemade cookies in my house right now. I put some with ice cream last night. It was a good time.
Or, it's got a bad name. Christmas crack?
Yeah, I just had my first experience with that shit.
Saladas and caramel and chocolate?
Yeah.
Or if you're American, graham crackers?
Yeah, we had marshmallows thrown in there as well. And there's a ton of melted chocolate and shit in there. Oh, so good.
I made the one the other day that was white chocolate, Biscoff, and walnuts, crushed walnuts on the top.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's the good shit.
I'm also making coconut slice this weekend.
Bless.
And Hawaiian butter mochi, which I will send you the recipe for because it's fucking delicious.
Okay, sign me up. But hey,
make treats for your friends.
Make treats for your friends. Maybe if you've got some time off, play a video game, play one with some friends. It doesn't have to be Destiny, honestly. At this point, there's tons of shit out there. There's sales going on. Find something you enjoy it. Don't be a dick about it. Like this show. As in, press the like button. Subscribe to this show.
Instead of leaving nasty comments this season, leave a nice one.
I don't think we've had any nasty comments like to date. So.
I mean in general.
Oh, yeah.
Just everyone in general.
Yeah.
Hey, instead of being like, oh my God, this is cringe, just don't comment or just be like, hey, keep making videos, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes you happy.
Go make your own. Get your own voice out in the world. It's not hard to make things. We did it.
We're able to stumble through this.
Yeah, for what, 70-something episodes now. Just go do it. Put your voice in the world. Or don't. Like, it's also kind of scary to do that sometimes. But hey, for 2023, this has been Erico Blueberry. I couldn't get over that without stumbling. This has been Ericode Blueberry. My tongue got in the way of my teeth. Happy whatever. We'll see you next year.
Hell yeah.